Will the stock of Nvidia decline? And the response is no. The largest stock pump in recorded human history is about to occur. To see the price goals, watch the entire video. We all give the impression that Nvidia is the sun and that everything revolves around it, but it wasn't simply Nvidia. However, yesterday had numerous drawbacks, each of which was distinct. I've been telling Nvidia to let it go. Look, everyone knows that I adore Nvidia. Anything's just a stock, so I shouldn't say anything. But I've been saying since the quarter that you should let it drop and stay out of this. Last night, I attempted to draw a comparison between it and the Cowardly Lion, who, depending on you to stop me essentially before we even got started. And that's how it seems to me. I do. We discussed Michael Sussman's note from JP Morgan yesterday, which examined not only the claim that Nvidia's historic margins and market share will face competition, but also his apparent belief that more advancements should have been made by now on some of these use cases. Alright, I think that's fantastic, because many people gave incorrect explanations for why it was unavailable yesterday. It's down because Michael Sussman is perhaps one of Wall Street's most influential strategic thinkers at the moment. He did not disclose that he was a friend, but so what? Like his father, his son is an excellent fisherman, and I had the opportunity to see him this past weekend. The issue with Nvidia is that, although he acknowledges competition in that article, he actually gives away that AMD is the rival. I believe Lisa Su is doing an amazing job with Char's AMD and Nvidia. She probably wouldn't even acknowledge that they are now in rivalry with Nvidia. I believe Intel. Let's just exclude them from the discussion. We must cease viewing Intel as a rival to everybody but itself. However, there were the 2000. Oh my God, the 1990 to 2000 fiber connection. And the idea that mainframe spending was completely incorrect. That's what he compared it to. When I saw that, I felt like throwing up. Although I think Michael is fantastic. Let's be clear that these people are dropping because they are big thinkers who read Michael Sussman and simply had a change of heart. Jim, one of the few people who can make you reconsider, is referring to this chart, which I believe is in the booth, in which he compares Nvidia's data center revenue to IBM's top revenue in 1969 and Cisco's peak expenditure in 2000. Look, I do recall that. The Cisco Nell problem was a collapse scenario, as everyone who recalls it can attest. Nell and Lucent both fell to the ground instantly. To make matters worse, it was out that they both had accounting problems. Cisco reached an unjustifiable and excessive multiple. And what I said, listen, all these companies, but I never attacked Michael. Let me rest. Since the clients are nation-states with the ability to print money, the businesses are completely legitimate. The CEO of Nvidia, Jensen Huang, has repeatedly stated, look, if you buy our stuff, you get an amazing return. He has shown examples of these returns, and Michael disregarded them, which was painful. Can we, however, be certain about it? The thought that it might be mainframe or fiber is so unsettling that it makes you want to take a step back. Since this was the period when you should have noticed that many corporations were repurchasing stock because they thought they could profit greatly from it, I now think this was going to be the case. Rather, we received insufficient buyback, which made us wonder if these so-called tech titans and hyperscalers were really dreamers. In exchange, I would like to know if Mark Zuckerberg is a dreamer. Nvidia is the only method to speed up everything because Meta AI operates a little bit more slowly than the others. Well, the Justice Department was the only one who seemed to understand Nvidia's capabilities and went from hold to purchase yesterday. Yes, Jim, so for the time being, all we have to go on concerning these subpoenas are these headlines from Bloomberg. They penalize customers for not being exclusive, is the idea. Are they difficult to replace? All right, let's use a subpoena to address it first. Look, Bloomberg is doing some excellent reporting, but the Justice Department has already expressed interest in that subject. They call and ask, hey Jens, could you send us some of those documents? Do people actually believe that? That's not how it works. You need to use a subpoena. We're all afraid now because it makes. We say woo when we see a subpoena. Hey, collect, could you send me 15 million pages of what you've done? Isn't a simple way to call the CFO and collect crest. The second issue is it okay? You're Nvidia, and you're attempting to distribute everything because there is a shortage of everything. Should you offer the following round to the clients who haven't placed large orders? I mean, Nvidia, what are they meant to do? Are they saying that we must ruin our business because we are just concerned about debt? Then, if you return tonight, let's indulge in some semilist nostalgia for a different problem. One of Intel's main concerns from 1990 to 2000 was the notion that they were monopolists. However, they were fortunate to have AMD, which allowed them to constantly say, "Listen, we have 90, AMD has 10. It's unfortunate that Nvidia is unable to locate a person who is 10 years old. In fact, I believe that the solution to any antitrust issue was for Lisa Su, AMD, to take over and repeat the action, removing Nvidia from the way so that they could save Intel from scrutiny. Please, but they must follow through on this subpoena notion. They cannot simply give them a letter stating that they must. Among the issues Nvidia faces is the question of what to do when supplies are limited. To whom is the next round given? Do you give items to your little customers, or do you solely target your large clients? Accordingly, if that is what people choose, it is comparable to socialism of orders. Yes. Do you believe that they are prepared to respond to any questions the DOJ may have? Nvidia's brief statement, "Look, we worked really hard, and we have this position now," is the one I love the most. Google has informed us that they are a monopolist. Additionally, to someone who is a monopolist, it is the manner they misuse their position. And keep in mind that Standard Oil holds a 100% market share, which is the reason why everything occurred. And whenever a new competitor emerged, they immediately undercut them, eliminating that rival. This isn't taking place. Since they have no rivals, the question is, what would the Justice Department do if it were to target a business with no rivals? However, they appear to believe that it is irrelevant. For example, Apple is extremely fantastic, so perhaps we ought to have a look at it. That seems like, is that the main idea, really? Jonathan Cantor, after all, must deal with the reason why Intel didn't produce excellent AI CPUs. The reason for this was not the monopolistic practices of Nvidia. They prevailed in court, arguing that Google acted in a monopolist manner. This case is far more difficult. The old saying goes, "One man's margin is another man's opportunity." Although it's 90% of this corporation, it's not 100%. However, because they had enormous margins in the 30s and 40s, we usually think of us as the great one. Then all of a sudden, J&J entered the stapling industry with 18% margins, which was far greater than their typical business. Look, a business can enter the market with margins that are significantly greater than Nvidia's present margins, but yet significantly lower. That's what Michael Sauce thinks JP Morgan will do. Locate that rival for me. As wonderful as Lisa Su is, and you know I think AMD is amazing, I believe she would acknowledge that we're not where we need to be if she were on here right now. Nvidia is very good at training. Michael stated that they must now rely on inference. No, as they have had extensive training. It is inference that generates revenue, not training. However, that isn't the case with Nvidia, and because they want to win in terms of data, the customers are investing more time and money in training. Data analysis, Mark Benioff. I believe that, I am aware that I take